Welcome to the Be Progressive Show. I am Brandon Neal, and today we're going to be talking about the General Flynn interview that occurred on Newsmax. This is something that I wanted to talk about. I didn't, and now it's old news, kind of, because it's politics, and day-old news is old news. But anyway, there's some scary stuff that comes out of General Flynn. He's not even a general. This is a seditious, treasonous person. So I'm not going to dignify him by calling him by a title. This is Mr. Flynn, is what I will call him. And listen to this nonsense.
The FBI and rogue prosecutors, General Flynn, recently pardoned by the President of the United States. So great to have you here on Newsmax, sir. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great, Greg. Thanks for having me.
You bet, you bet. First off, listen, you're an intel expert. There's not much that's happening in America that you don't know or is going on in the cyber world. Your take overall on the election and what should happen next?
I think that well, number one, President Trump won on the 3rd of November. The things that he needs to do right now is he needs to appoint a special counsel immediately. He needs to seize all of these Dominion and these other voting machines that we have across the country. He needs to go ahead and prioritize by state and probably by county. Fulton County, Maricopa County as an example, exactly what they did up in Antrim County, Michigan, and what they discovered. I think if he looks at probably a couple of random sampling of some of these counties, he's going to find exactly the same problem.
So he's calling for the military, for Donald Trump, the President of the United States that just lost an election by almost 8 million votes, with his appointed Attorney General, his Justice Department, every single judge that tried or looked at a case turned it down for lack of evidence. 60 plus cases turned down for no evidence. And by all rights, this was a normal fair election that the election fraud fell right within the normal amount of election fraud that occurs every year to year. And it's never even remotely close to being an impact on a candidate either way. And you have a high-ranking general of the United States of America come out on this unpatriotic, seditious news network and say these things. He should be court-martialed immediately. And so it gets worse. Keep listening.
These machines are clearly there is a foreign influence that is tied to this system, and it goes back to China, likely goes to Russia, likely goes to Iran. We know that Venezuela.
He's literally just naming countries that the Republicans don't like. That's it. This moron, who is the intelligence, world's best mind, is sitting here making up bullshit, and I mean bullshit. This isn't just like spinning something to make it sound worse. This is bullshit. 100% lies. He is making up countries that he thinks that they are tied to with literally no evidence whatsoever. And this is what is going to get this kind of talk. I don't know if this came out when Dominion and Smartmatic had sued Newsmax or threatened to sue Newsmax, but this would be a big reason as to why. Because he's on camera, live in front of everybody in the world, saying that Dominion and Smartmatic, that they need to be seized by the military because they are tied to China and to Venezuela and to Iran and any other country that the Republican doesn't like. It's seditious. Seditious! You are a general in this army of the United States. You literally need to be court-martialed immediately. And he keeps getting worse.
Participated in the development of these machines. There's been problems all over the country with them. This not only Dominion,
there
but
has
also
not.
This Smartmatic software. So he's got a couple.
Smartmatic software was not used in any of the swing states.
Right now.
So I hear some murmurings. About this.
Oh, here it comes. I hear some murmurings of traitorous, treasonous behavior coming down the pipe.
Be opposed to aggressive action, and the president does have some options, at least on paper. Can you tell us what those options are and your opinion, if he might take any of them?
Well, I don't know if he's going to take any of these options. I mean, the president has to plan for every eventuality, because we cannot allow this election and the integrity of our election to go the way it is. I mean, this is just totally unsatisfactory. There's no way in the world that we are going to be able
prove
to
it then.
forward as a nation.
Bring proof,
So
or shut
the
your
president
pie hole.
and I just mentioned one of the options. I mean, he could immediately, on his order, seize every single one of these machines around the country on his order. He could also order within the swing states, if he wanted to, he could take military capabilities and he could place them in those states and basically rerun an election in each of those states. I mean,
there you have it, folks. A treasonous general of the United States of America has now called for a military coup for a corrupt president that lost an election in a perfectly fair election. This man should be court-martialed, spend the remaining of his days in a prison cell.
it's not unprecedented. I mean, these people out there talking about martial law, it's like it's something that we've never done. Martial law has been instituted 64 times, Greg.
Yeah, and out of those 64 times, I just can't believe that a general, I keep saying this, a general is sitting here talking about how martial law is not that big of a deal and that it's been instituted 64 times. That's so awful. Go back and look. All you got to do is go to Wikipedia and look up every single time that martial law has been used. And then after you do that, you're going to find that martial law was used majorly during wartime, during like the early 1900s of like huge strikes or union uprisings. Never once has martial law even been floated because a president lost an election. I mean, this is outlandish.
So I'm not calling for that.
Yeah.
We have a constitutional process.
Sure, you're
Clearly
not,
have
dickhead.
a constitutional process. I think you highlighted some of that in your previous segment. That has to be followed. But I will tell you that I'm a little concerned.
I think this, if you look right here, if you look at Greg Kelly's face, I think he's processing what just was said. And he was like, oh shit, that's probably not a good thing. Maybe not, though. Greg's pretty stupid, so there's probably just a couple marbles floating around in there.
About Chief Justice John Roberts at the Supreme Court. I mean, we can't fool around with the fabric of the Constitution of the United States.
Which is exactly what you're doing.
The Constitution, if the Supreme Court doesn't get involved in at least making sure that the fabric of that Constitution is held together, and all they have to do is look at the evidence. They have to look at the evidence. I'm not certain. In fact, I don't believe that the Supreme Court of the United States has even looked at the merit of any of the cases that have been put forward yet. What they've been looking at is process files, whether somebody crossed the T or dotted.
If you're not getting past process in the courts, that means that you have absolutely no merit at all. And that is precisely what's happened from the lowest to the highest court. I don't know where this guy, he's, what it is he's pissed off that he lost and he got, he was arrested and prosecuted. And so now he's going to come out and be all vindictive about what happened to him. And now that Trump's pardoned him and he's got a big set of balls now, he thinks he's a tough guy. Well, I'm sorry. You're an embarrassment to this country. If I were you, I would never show my face again. You are an absolute bottom of the barrel, unpatriotic, gutter trash is what you are. So somebody send him this video of this little no-name little guy from Indianapolis and let him see that I called him a traitorous piece of gutter trash, because that's what he is.
And that's unsatisfactory. That is, to me, that lacks courage. It lacks moral fiber within the Chief Justice, and frankly within the members of the Supreme Court. And I actually think that this is an unprecedented time. It's a crucible moment in our history, and we should expect much more out of the Supreme Court. And clearly, well, the other thing I would say, and I'll stop, is I expect much more out of the Republican Party. They need to start standing up and fighting for this president.
So many of them, I think in their heart of hearts, I'm talking about the swamp, they want to go back to...
They're all worried about Georgia. They're all worried about this runoff in Georgia. It's a fake election. You can't have another election on the same system. It's a broken system. And we cannot...
I've never heard Republicans cry like little baby girls when they lose, man. And they have the balls to call everybody on the left snowflakes. This is a high-ranking general calling for a military coup because his fucking dumb orange waterhead leader lost. God, it's pathetic. This man should be in prison. Just prison. And I hope that Smartmatic and Dominion sues Newsmax, and I hope it sues them right out of existence, because they just do not. This is ridiculous, man. We're way beyond the pale when it comes to craziness in the United States politics, when we're now calling for a military coup because our feelings got hurt because our cult leader didn't win the election.